So welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us here at our booth, at our Lubrizol Life Science booth. My name is Jennifer Green. I'm our Technical Marketing Manager for our medical device resins. And today we're going to talk about how to understand thermoplastic polyurethanes as it relates to your medical device applications and kind of how to think about selecting materials that'll meet your performance needs. So if you're thinking about materials in general that are available for medical device assembly and manufacturing, there's quite a few different classes of materials that are available out there. Everything from your commodity plastics, your engineered materials, and your specialty elastomer products. And when you're looking for these materials, you may have many different performance criteria in mind. And if you get down to select a subsegment of material, you could still have other classifications within that subsegment that you may need to take a look at. So some of the materials that we spend a lot of time looking at here at Lubrizol are thermoplastic polyurethanes, and they have some really interesting properties for medical device applications that we're going to talk about today. We see polyurethanes as bridging the gap between engineered materials and specialty elastomers. And just for those of you that may not be as familiar with the chemistry, I have just a little bit of chemistry up here. Polyurethane basically is the reaction of an isocyanate with an alcohol group to create a urethane bond. So when we think about polyurethanes, they really are a very versatile and large class of chemistry. So the chemistry is one thing that makes them very versatile, because we can select different types of material for the hard segment, which includes the isocyanate, and the soft segment, which would include that long chain alcohol group. So we think about things like aliphatic and aromatic hard segments. We'll talk just a little bit about why you may want to choose one over the other, as well as the chemistries of our soft segments, ester, ether, carbonate. We'll talk some more about that as well. The other thing that can be versatile about polyurethanes is the physical properties that you can achieve with these materials, either by choosing the different hard and soft segments or by choosing to vary the ratios of those segments within the material. You can really get materials that can span, for example, the flexural modulus from anything as soft as a silicone to approaching the hardness of metals. And the last thing that's versatile about polyurethanes is the ability to process those materials by many different methods. Thermal processability, so molding, extrusion, you can get into things like post-forming operations and bonding, as well as solvent processability and even a little bit of 3D printing application as well. So some of the reasons that people may want to look at a thermoplastic polyurethane for their medical device application include things like chemical resistance, the unique property of the material to soften in the body, kink resistance, the ability to load the material with different fillers or colors, and a lot of the properties that you see up here. But how do you make sure that the polyurethane you choose are going to exhibit the properties that you're looking for your specific application? So you may go and look at the chemistries that are available. These are some of the chemistries that we offer, and the chemistries are vast. So today I'm just going to talk a little bit about making selections of these materials and try to decode that a little bit. So when you're thinking about your medical device application, these are quite a few different categories of requirements that may come into play. Everything from your physical properties, your tensile strength, your fatigue properties, to the biological performance, and other specialty things about the material. For example, its thermal characteristics or its electrical resistivity, and things about the regulatory and quality environment as well. So these are all things that we think about when we're talking about how to choose a polyurethane. So today I'm just going to go over a couple of quick examples. So the first ones that we're going to talk about includes the physical performance criteria along with the biological requirements. So the first example is, for example, a long-term blood contacting device, and you may want either a softer material that's more flexible. We call those like a shore A hardness material, or a stiffer product that's going to give you maybe a stronger property or a stiffer feel. We'll call those a shore D material. And up on the screen you see 3 different soft segment chemistries that are available. And how would you choose between these chemistries if you're looking for a product for your device? So for a polyester type polyurethane material, the polyester segment of these products can make them susceptible to degradation in water. So a blood environment may cause something called hydrolysis, which is water-mediated degradation. So for a soft material, this probably isn't a good idea if you want your device to last more than a couple of days in the body. So if you're taking a look at an alternative chemistry such as a polyether, they are much more stable in an aqueous environment, so they're hydrolytically resistant. But the cells in the blood can attack these materials by oxidative attack, and you may see a slight surface degradation. So depending on what your device needs are and how long it needs to be active for and physically robust, this type of material may or may not work for you, and it may or may not be a good candidate. So the last type is a polycarbonate-based polyurethane, and these products are both hydrolytically and oxidatively resistant, and they can resist attack from both water and blood cells in the months to years time frame. So these are typically a good one to start out with if you're looking for a flexible long-term blood contacting polyurethane. So if you're thinking about a more rigid material, how are those requirements going to change? So typically the hydrolytic attack is still going to happen. It's a bulk attack mechanism throughout the material. So it's probably still not something that you would want to take a starting look at. Now, a higher hard segment of the material in a Shore D product of a polyether is going to be more stable. So it may be a good product for a stiff application for long-term blood contacting, where a softer application may or may not be acceptable. And in the last example, a polycarbonate-based material is going to be a good option for both hard and soft applications for permanent blood contact. Okay? So the chemistry of the material and the physical properties are going to work together and impact the durability. And we want to make sure that you start out with something that's going to work initially rather than having to go through a lot of iterations. Okay, and then the second one, we're going to take a look at how you can impact physical properties, chemical resistance, and processability. So in the last slides, we talked a lot about the soft segment chemistry. In the next slides, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the benefits you can get by selecting different types of isocyanates or hard segments. So we talked a little bit about aromatic and aliphatic earlier, so we're going to see what are some of the strengths and weaknesses of these products and how would you apply them to your device. So if you're looking for strength of a material, you're looking for fatigue resistance, abrasion resistance, good tensile strength, and aromatic really has about a 20% advantage over a similar aliphatic product. It also has a really good chemical resistance, so if you need a strong chemical resistant material, starting with an aromatic is a good idea. However, the aromatic products can have, because of their aromatic ring in their structure, they can cause a yellowing. So one of the advantages of an aliphatic product is that they do resist yellowing with exposure to things like heat or radiative sterilization. In-body softening is another place where the aliphatic materials do also tend to shine. So they tend to soften much more as compared to an aromatic material in the body, which can be really advantageous for some vascular access applications where patient comfort is really important. And the last thing is, if you're thinking about customizing a material with a high loading of radiopacifiers, you're looking for a flexibility on your thermal processing windows, or looking for a more highly customized product, the aliphatics tend to take fillers much more easily, and they do tend to have a wider extrusion and processing window, so they may be a good option there. So that is all that we have for today, but if you guys have any other questions for us or would like to follow up, please stick around. We're here to help and look forward to speaking with you. Thank you.